Some exciting news from OpenAI today. You can now fine-tune your GPT 3.5 Turbo models. So early testers of this system have found that they're able to get performance that sometimes surpasses GPT-4 at a fraction of the cost with much faster response times. And this is because they're working with a model that they have fine-tuned to meet the needs of their specific application. If you want to fine-tune a model, there's 4 steps. First, you need to prepare your data, then you upload your data, then you create your fine-tuned model, and then you use your model. Let me show you how. OpenAI mentioned 3 use cases in their announcement blog post. One is improved steerability. You're just going to have more control over a model that you fine-tuned yourself on your own data. 2 is more reliable output formatting. And 3 is custom tone. Brands have custom tones, authors have their own tone, and if you fine-tune a model on content that you've written, it's more likely that the output is going to match the tone that you're looking for. Let's focus on this 3rd use case here and see if we can fine-tune a model to spit out text in a custom tone. And to do that, we need some data that is not copyrighted, that's easily available, and has a distinctive tone so we know if it's working. Let's use Proverbs from the Old Testament. Step 1 is to prepare our data, and the format we're looking for is JSON-L. I recommend you look at the OpenAI docs and fine-tuning as opposed to the blog post. You'll get better instructions there. And the best way that I found to convert text or any data that you have into the JSON-L format that OpenAI is expecting is use the code interpreter from ChatGPT. It took about 10 minutes of chatting with the code interpreter to take the text file you saw earlier of just raw text of the Proverbs to get them into the JSON-L format that it's expecting. Also, I only used about 10 or 15 records for the start as an experiment on the training process. The more the better, but you need a minimum of 10 records. So then when we're finished, we've gone from something that looks like this, to just raw text, to something that looks like this. And what we're looking for is on each line, we have a messages list, and the messages list has 3 different messages in it. It has a system message, it has the user message, and then we have the response. So this is what we want our output to look like. And I use ChatGPT to come up with these hypothetical questions from the user and then to respond with a proverb. We have prepared our data, so now on to step 2, uploading our data. This is fairly simple. The blog post gives you an option to do this using curl from the command line. I found it a little bit easier and more reliable to do this in Python. You can find that code from the documentation on fine-tuning. Very simple. You're going to use the OpenAI helper library. We're going to create a file. We just give it the path to the file. You want this file to be in the same directory as the code that you're running. And then it is very important here, the docs didn't have this, but this is very helpful. Make sure that you're saving the output from this file create method here, and that you print that out because it is going to spit out a file ID that you will need in the next step. And we will run upload. And you see that we get this file ID back, and we will copy that into the next file. Then the 3rd step is to train our model. And again, the code here is easily available from the documentation. And we just need to drop in the file ID that we got from the previous step. We're going to create a new fine-tuning job, and we're going to pass in the file ID that we got, and we're telling it that we are training GPT 3.5 Turbo. And again, it's helpful just to get this response back. All right, and now we have started our job. Very importantly, we have not finished the job. Our script finished, and this response is letting us know that we have started the job, but it does take some time for that job to complete, and you will get an email when the job is completed. And inside that email, you are going to find an important ID that you'll need to actually use your model. Right now, this is the night that this just came out. I'm finding that training on a minimum number of rows, I think it was 18 rows, I'm finding it's taking about 10 minutes for my model to complete its training. And obviously, your mileage may vary depending on demand and depending on the size of the data set that you're training on. Eventually, you're going to get an email saying that your fine-tuning job has successfully completed, and you're going to get a new model ID. And it's going to look something like this. And you're going to need that model ID for step 4, which is to use your new fine-tuned model. Now, I like using LangChain for a lot of my LLM development. LangChain is a great framework for building LLM-powered applications, and I've just found it speeds up my development. This is basically a hello world with LangChain and the ChatGPT API. So this is without my fine-tuned model. Let's just run this and see what happens when I ask ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, what is the meaning of life? And so if I run this, all right, the meaning of life is a philosophical question that's been debated and pondered upon by various cultures, religions, and individuals throughout history. Now, I am very simply going to come in here and I'm going to change the model name to the model name that I got in the email from ChatGPT when my fine-tuning job completed. And when I change the model name and then I run this again, I am now going to get a different answer. Wherefore I saw there's nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his works, for that is his portion. For who shall bring him back to see what shall be after him? All right, so it worked. This is obviously a starkly different answer than what we got using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo. Of course, from here, we would do a lot more iteration, right? We would train it on a much larger data set, but these are the 4 steps that you need to start fine-tuning your model. So you need to prepare your data, you need to upload your data, you need to train your model, and then you use your model. I would love to hear what you're using fine-tuning for. You can find me at GreggyB on Twitter or X, as I guess we're calling it these days. And if this video was helpful for you, I'd appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. Thank you.